Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and in today's episode, I'm going to cover a kind of a bit of a broad topic, maybe the start of more topics of the same. But basically, I'm going to go over some of the Japanese animation influences in Chinese mangas. Okay, so basically, these are things that started as a kind of a Japanese product. And then, of course, the mangas and the storyline got developed on the Chinese side, and they took the story somewhere else. Okay, I'm not going to really cover too much on the way of video and that kind of stuff because there's a lot of good examples of that. But I'm going to cover some mangas in this particular episode. In this episode, I'm going to cover two particular series that has a lot of influence, and one of them is Street Fighter, and the other one is The King of Fighters. Okay. Now again, these franchises were made from both Capcom and SNK in Japan, and they became video games in both the Super Nintendo and of course the SNK Neo Geos and whatnot. Okay, but one of the things that they didn't really do was they didn't make and flesh out the story for the for the video games. Okay, I mean, sure, you can play the Super Nintendo version of, let's say, Street Fighter, and you can get to the ending for you, for example, and he's walking off into the sunset. That's great, but what about the rest of the story? What about this? Nothing beats Shenlong, and what's his beef with Guile, and what's the rivalry between Ken, and is there something going on with Chun Li? You don't know, right? Because they never bothered fleshing that out. And sure, again, there's a couple odd end mangas here and there, but nothing cohesive and nothing that ties everything together. So along comes the person in China, okay, named Andy Seto. Now, Andy Seto, I'm backing up a little bit. Andy Seto is known for a lot of a lot of newer stuff. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. He did the Power manga, for example. Okay, but one of the first things that he really got started on, and you can tell the Japanese animation influence on it, is something called Cyber Weapon Z. Okay, so that's this box right here. This is volume 8 for Cyber Weapon Z. Okay, now you can tell by the influence of this that he definitely got a lot of influence from Japanese animation. This particular series, features the font like Zeta Gundam. The main character, is obviously something from either Venus Wars or Arion. Okay, the main female character is his own sort of styling of that stuff because that the Chinese artist likes to draw. Okay, it has another male protagonist character which obviously he copied Terry Bogard. Okay. There's another character that's part of the Cyber Force, which obviously resembles a Dragon Ball character. Okay, so and then again, comes this Cat Girl. Okay, obviously he copied this from Dominion Tank Police. So again, a lot of very obvious influences from Japanese animation. So anyway, he made this the Cyber Weapon Z. This particular volume is the box set for Reborn. Okay, and the neat thing about this one is when you open it up, it's actually a video cassette. Okay, and this contains a OEVA. Okay, and there's a special video cassette box that you can then sleeve the video cassette into this box. When you put it there. Anyway, so this OEVA is basically it has some computer generated and rendered graphics and that kind of stuff that he did with that. And again, this came out about 1980 or 1995 when this series came out. But again, you can tell they had a lot of Japanese influence in this particular thing. The other thing that Andy Seto is really good and well known for is he also made a manga series for Street Fighter. Okay, and in this manga series, he went and fleshed out all these little parts of the stories and everything that was missing. That he basically made his own interpretation of it and used the Street Fighter series, the basic story around, and then he basically drew it all out. So much so that one of the most significant episodes and significant events that I was sort of waiting for and I was collecting the comics for is the wedding episode between Yu and Chun Li. Okay, this is one of the main things that was made and put into comic book form. Again, it's not in the Japanese version. It came out in the Chinese version that he wrote. He finally published with that. Okay. Now, he continued this this manga fighting series into King of Fighters. Okay, and he then went on to do things like Millennium Fight. Okay, so when King of Fighters 96 came out, okay, or that sort of era, then they started releasing mangas based on the particular series of that. So here, every year they sort of made one. This was the 96 for the compilation version for Millennium Fight. Okay, and then in 97 they made another compilation manga for this one here. Okay. 98, all right, is this particular version here, all right, okay, then they go to 99, okay, and then they started the 2000 series, okay, so the 2001, that basically is your King of Fighters 2001 Millennium Battle, okay, there's your 2002 edition, 2003, 2004. Okay, so now we're getting into the King of Fighters 2001 series and the 2003 series. Okay, there's 2005. This is 2006. That one's 2007. All right, and then of course. The last one I ended up picking up was 2008. Okay, so Andy Cito and another artist called Tung Choi Kim also made a lot of these King of Fighters mangas and basically progressed the story that SNK never bothered filling out, in the video game. So it's sort of, again, loosely based on the video game. There's some certain events and characters that are there, and basically they just took that and basically expanded all the stories. So the whole entire Orochi saga, and built up that entire, sort of incoming sort of a theme and backstory. Between the Bogard family and the Howard family, Geese Howard, okay, and how that kind of got all together, and then how Rugal get in there. So basically, he tied in the stories of all this intrigue and Interpol, and how all this demon stuff starts, Orochi stuff. So that's how you get the Orochi version of Iori and Kyo and all this other stuff. They built it all together into one sort of storyline. Okay, and they all did this inside this manga. Because SNK never did anything, to this nature, it ended up being the Chinese that ended up making these manga series for them. Okay, now that's not to say that there are no Japanese mangas for them. Okay, so for example, I'll just pick one out of example. Here is the G collection for King of Fighters. This is for '97. This is the special edition with basically Yori versus Kyo fight edition. Okay, mostly male characters and that kind of stories and that stuff. Various artists all come out and do a doujinshi collection like this, for example. Okay, that's one. All right. Another one is done by this particular artist, Yo Tamasaki. Okay, this is the King of Fighters G. Okay, and it's the same guys who do the SD mangas and that stuff for Gundam. Okay. And so this one, again, is for King of Fighters 96, okay? And again, more focus on the female characters and that kind of stuff. But again, another side story for King of Fighters, okay? Very short manga series, so it didn't really cover a heck of a lot. But again, so those little short stories and little snippets from different artists and that kind of stuff do exist in the Japanese version, but nothing as complete and as large and as many pages of the collections as what the Chinese have done for the King of Fighters franchise. what is in, for example, the animation of the King of Fighters Destiny, can be traced back to some of the elements that were actually in the Chinese mangas and that kind of stuff. Okay, and of course there are more King of Fighters series that they've released, past 2001, 2003, Zillion, and all this other stuff. That they continued releasing in Chinese, where the Japanese ones haven't made a similar comic or manga that covers that storyline or that story arc for the King of Fighters series. Okay, so again, this is another example of where the Chinese have basically taken the skeleton, shall we say, the beginnings of a storyline, and they basically fleshed it all out and basically gave it all the background and all the flesh, if you will, to make the whole body of the story complete. Okay. Now they've probably done this for other things, okay, but I'm just going to cover these things in this particular episode, and then I'll make another episode for some of the other things that they made interesting takeoffs on. Okay, so what you want to do right now is you want to go and click like and subscribe below, so that way when we release more episodes, then you'll be able to get those, and you'll be able to make sure you don't miss any episodes when you do that. Okay, so until next time, see you again.